Recent floods in the Western Cape have also caused havoc to the agriculture sector, and citrus growers in 3 district municipalities were affected by the severe rains. Riverbanks, irrigation equipment, private roads, vineyards and fruit orchards were extensively damaged, and the provincial government has estimated the damage to be worth just over R1 billion. Now, the Citrus Growers Association of South Africa is calling for swift action in terms of funding and support to the affected farmers and communities. To speak to us, we're joined by Citrus Growers Association Western Cape Regional Director, Gerrit van der Merwe aangenaam. And baie welkom, Gerrit. Happy International Nelson Mandela Day to you. How did the day start, or are you getting your hands dirty trying to fix what the rain or the damage that the rain had caused in the area?
No, today is all about work. No time off. I think everyone in the community is putting together to make sure we get the harvest off the trees and make sure we get it to market as soon as possible. So it's been on emergency the past 3 weeks, but I can assure you that fortitude has been shown by the South African, the citrus style community. And yeah, every crisis has got a silver lining, and the way people are working together is quite nice.
Now, we absolutely see the glass half full, but I mean, the extent of the damage, as we were estimating, it's over R1 billion, and particular regions that were impacted. Also, this means that your export output is not at the optimum level. But what does it mean for the local market?
No, I think it's definitely, it's got a massive effect. I mean, we were unable to export for 2 weeks. Our road was blocked. We couldn't pick. You can't pick and pack in rainy conditions. So, I mean, fruit was also lost due to the excessive rains. We lost about 10, 20, 30% on different cultivars. So there will be a lot less supply going into the export market and local market. So that means the prices are going to go up. Unfortunately for us, I mean, our cost is enormous at the moment, and farmers are struggling to keep up and getting everything done in time. So it will be a challenge for all, and will definitely affect the market negatively, because all of us wants to move volume at good prices, not have a shortage, and not be able to get the volume into the market. So it's bad for all.
So Gerrit, and this being an act of nature, I suppose it's very difficult, besides having forewarning or pre-warning systems in place and trying to protect the crops, etc. But it is an act of nature. I mean, how best do farmers even protect themselves against such?
Well, we farm with nature, so these types, I don't think it's par for the course, but I mean, it's definitely something you have to deal with. If you dependent on nature, on rain and wind and that type of thing to make sure your crops get to the market, it's part of it. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's part of the act of God, and I do think that it's something that we have to take in our stride, but hopefully it doesn't happen in my lifetime again.
Okay, but yeah, as you're saying, because it's so devastating, but the cost implications and particularly the support from the Western Cape government and the agriculture sector, talk us through what is being done, if not anything else, to salvage at least the good fruit and crop that is still of export quality.
I think, yeah, to look a bit further away from the farms, what's been done, I think the Western Cape government has really come to the party. The roads got fixed immediately, or plans was made to fix the road quite quickly. I thought it's going to take 3, 4, 5 weeks to get across the river, but looks like we were lucky. It was only a week or so, and then we got back in. We had all the different departments all pulling together, making sure where we can fix it, how we can fix it. So I'm from a government side to up to this end, from a response side, we are extremely happy. But now the next steps comes calculating what the losses is and making sure that we can actually get through this. I think that would be the next step.
Yeah, would you say that this is a regional, or should be declared a regional disaster, in the sense that the urgency and requisite resources need to be plugged in to the area to mitigate the impact of the rains?
Yeah, I certainly do so. I mean, we are a farming community. The fruit is everything. I mean, even the guy working at the local spa is dependent on what the price of the citrus fruit is. And when there's less fruit, there's less money going around, and there's less people getting jobs all throughout the industry. So I think this really cuts deep from top all the way to the bottom in smaller communities. And we need some outside support, and not just the farmers, but all the surrounding businesses and every people dependent on this citrus stall community and the citrus we harvest on a yearly basis.
Yeah, and also you were talking about the farm workers, the jobs that could potentially be lost if you're not able to, harvest the optimum level of produce that you have. For many of us who only interface with fruit, when you see it at the shop level or the shelves, what is the association's work and how many stakeholders, the whole hierarchy, how does it work in making sure that we enjoy the citrus fruit that, we have in our stores?
Firstly, you guys are the most important, regardless about your ignorance, and this is what we do. This is what family business that grew up in citrus they'll know how to do, is to supply the market. But yeah, I think from the CGA side, where I'm involved, it's a communication role, putting through information, getting stakeholders together around the table and making sure we're all pulling into the same direction, because it's not just the farmer, it's the harbor, it's the trucks, it's all type of businesses that needs to pull together to make sure that we have good quality fruit at decent prices on the shelf. And citrus being a very low cost fruit, especially in the South African market, I think a lot of rural communities depend on cheaper oranges in season to make sure that they actually do get the right vitamins throughout their diet.
Yeah, and I know you're saying that the consumer obviously is the most important in the value chain, because those are the ones that will purchase the product and you get your money back and the whole system starts all over again. But going forward, in terms of your sowing and plowing, how has the soil have been impacted, and also how much resources is required to try and get it to a point where it's conducive for sowing?
Unfortunately, we're in emergency mode now. We're just trying to fix everything, trying to get the crops off. The big financial losses lost by the farmers, the workers, everybody involved, that's going to be calculated. We know the number, but you're kind of just pushing it to the side. And you're just trying to make the best out of a very bad situation. And with the next couple of weeks, we probably need to start taking stock, see where we are in the market, and hopefully we can carry this through. But I do call on government to help out not just the farmers but all the community, because there will be a lot of fortunes lost this year in the citrus Dalk and William area with citrus. So hopefully we can get to a better position 4 or 5 weeks from now, and to make sure we make it through and have a better end to the season.
And the consequences of you not being able to meet your contractual obligations, let's say with the import or export market, are there penalties, even if in this case it's an act of God that you didn't have control over?
I think penalties, not directly, indirectly. We sit in South Africa and we supply USA and Europe mostly from the Cape Town side. And me as a marketeer, as a CEO of a farming enterprise, we don't sell fruit, we sell confidence of fruit supply. And as soon as you start breaking that confidence and the buyer starts seeing that you're dependent on the supply chain and there's holes in the supply chain, they'll probably look to a Peru and a Chile next year. And when a buyer committed to me this year, next year is going to say, hold on, what about a flood? I'm going to get half of my product out of Chile or out of Peru, or even a different part of South Africa. And I think that's probably our biggest risk. We lost our confidence. We lost the confidence in our product, in our supply chain, and that's going to take a while to build back.
Yeah, and the reputational risk, as you're saying, it just takes one disaster to break that trust relationship. But nonetheless, it's one would hope something that you can restore, and getting the much needed relief funding as well from government. Has there been talk of additional funding that has been ring-fenced particularly to deal with this disaster?
You're asking a non-politician to speak about politics, but
I just want to know the figures.
I
just want the oranges, Gerrit. I just want the oranges, the citrus fruit. So if somebody had promised you a couple of billion, it's okay. But nonetheless, so is there such talk that you're aware of?
No, we're definitely gearing up to first of all, be declared a disaster. I think that will be step one, making sure we area-wide, not just the citrus dole community has been declared a disaster, and hopefully then from that national government there will be funding available through infrastructure loss, through income lost in the rural areas, and make sure that we can actually make a difference in the money that will hopefully be spent in the citrus dole area.
And of course, now we know better and to hopefully be adequately prepared. Give us a sense of, for those of us that may not have traveled to the citrus growers region, like the riverbanks or the areas that are affected in the Western Cape, so we have a better understanding and maybe share in the frustration that farmers are going through.
Yeah, I think, of course, next to the riverbanks, you've got fruit that was flooded. You lost the fruit that was on the trees, and a lot of damage in the trees itself that you need to actually get the ground back into the trees, which takes a lot of time. A lot of trees itself need to be replaced. But the trees actually away from the river as well also had a lot of rain, and you can't get into spray, you can't get into pick because it's just too wet at the moment. So I mean, for some of the orchards, you're going to use it for juicing, which is a lower class product because of the condition will not be good enough for export. So just doing daily picking and daily spraying is still a challenge, and there's still some orchards we just barely got to, maybe the past 2 days, and it's been, I think, 2-3 weeks after the main flood. So we've still got some challenges, and we're still taking stock of what our losses are. But at the moment, we're just fighting, and yeah, hopefully we can get it done.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Wishing you and the associations all the best. That is Citrus Growers Association Western Cape Regional Director Gerrit van Merwe.